Tampa Bay Bucs Super Bowl 55 champ Shaq Barrett coming at you live for NSPN Next Gen Sports. Go like and follow NSPN for total coverage of all team and combat sports, live shows, plus exclusive player interviews and unprecedented sports content creation.
Aren't you loving life in Tampa Bay? Nothing like being defending Super Bowl champs, Stanley Cup champions, American League champions. This is Outkick. Join me every Sunday morning at 10. Let's talk our teams in the hottest sports market in the country. Never too early to talk Buccaneers or check in on all the teams in Tampa Bay. It will be your best hour of sports. The Outkick Show, powered by Guerrilla Marketing. Sunday mornings at 10 on 102.5 The Bone. Sports media has evolved. Introducing NSPN Next Gen Sports, your number one source for all team and combat sports. Live shows, breaking news, esports tournaments, and interactive sports content like never before. Like and follow NSPN on our Facebook page for your chance at this month's fan giveaway contest. And tune in every Sunday at noon for exclusive video access to my Outkick Show interview. NSPN Next Gen Sports. Outkick here. I have to tell you about my amazing pampered experience at Daniela LaCorey Styling Studio. First of all, I love what she did with my hair, but it's the entire experience that truly sets her apart. You walk in and chances are she's playing your favorite music because she pours you your favorite adult beverage because it's gone from haircut to a truly relaxing time. Only at Daniela LaCorey Styling Studio. Haircuts, men and women, full spot treatments, hair color. Get it all with Daniela. Check her out on Instagram at Daniela LaCorey or book her on the Booksy app at ladybarberdaniela.booksy.com. Tell her Outkick sent you and get $10 off your first service, plus neck and shoulder massage. Daniela LaCorey Styling Studio. Outkick here from my friends at Family Lawn, Pest, Handyman, and Housekeeping. I'm all about saving money and saving time, especially when it comes to maintaining my home. These people are 4-in-1. One provider for my lawn, Pest, Handyman, and Housekeeping. I don't have to call 4 different companies, receive 4 different estimates, have 4 different strangers come into my home and write 4 different checks. I simply call Roger and Paula at Family Lawn and Pest. Sign up for a year and leave the honeydews to them. Get a free estimate. Call 813-526-8111. That's 813-526-8111. Tell them Outkick sent you and get $250 off your first year or 20% off your first month. It's Family Lawn and Pest and so much more.
Hey, what's up? Hope you guys had a great weekend. Football is officially back, and it's great to be 1-0. We got a big week ahead. The marathon's just getting started. We got a lot to improve on and excited for this week. Let's go.
Never disguise my attention. Lies outside the event. Brought my life out the trench. Tied that guy. Look what he.
Carlton Davis is one of the league's elite corners, and he proved it against Dallas. He forced 3 incompletions and got an interception.
Medical marijuana made easy. See if you pre-qualify for your Florida medical marijuana card free of charge. 100% risk, obligation, and judgment-free with fast.
Brady looking that way, fires that way, and it's going to be caught, and it's Godwin making the catch. Suckup trying to win it.
The Atlanta Falcons are on the road for Week 2, off to Tampa Bay to take on Tom Brady and the Bucs.
He's like from a different solar system right now, Chris. 44, I don't know what it is. enchanted quinoa, whatever he's doing, but it's perfect.
Go ahead and add oldest starting QB to win a game to his resume. And if you saw Brady in week 1, you know those 2 picks on his stat line didn't really say much about his arm, whereas the dime he threw to Antonio Brown did.
So much smarter than what he was then.
At the age of 44, Brady steps up, avoids the rush, throws, caught, touchdown, Antonio Brown.
Step forward, those inside. An army will be raised. Blood will be shed. Spoils will be enjoyed. So you came back to die with your city. The fire rises. We will destroy Gotham.
A lot of room to run, but Tom doesn't do that. For the end zone! Touchdown for the Bucs! Brady with a lot of time. Steps into it. Guns it complete. Evans searching for the end zone.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to the NSPN watch party here live at Ducky's Sports Lounge, 1719 Kennedy Boulevard in Tampa. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about as we get you ready for Bucs versus the Falcons. Can the Tampa Bay Buccaneers go 2-0? Can they continue the win streak from last year? Of course, this Atlanta Falcons team looking desperately right now for a win after being throttled by the Philadelphia Eagles 32-6. So we'll get into it. We'll talk to you. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Also, Tom Brady 8-0. Can he continue that streak? Can he go 9-0? And, of course, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers survived the Dallas Cowboys, a penalty-riddled, a turnover-riddled game. They were fortunate to win, and, of course, they can't play like that versus a Falcons team that is in transition right now with a new coach in Arthur Smith. They still have Matt Ryan. No more Julio Jones, the Bucs killer. Now it's Calvin Ridley. And, of course, you Florida Gator fans, sorry about the loss yesterday to the Alabama Crimson Tide. But Kyle Pitts, the rookie, could have used him yesterday. But he will be a man that the Bucs will have to defend today along with others. And we'll see what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers can do. So we'll hear from you. We'll talk to you about this. We'll get Alex Fleming, the flamethrower himself, live from the press box at Raymond James Stadium. We'll try to get on some other guests. And once again, we'll take your phone calls as always. Let's go out to these comments here and read them. Let's go out to Roger Shue here. Go Bears. Bucs suck. Tribal troll in the house. Bay. So I've got to where's my buzzer at? There's my buzzer right there. It still works, Roger. It still absolutely works. Good news right now, though. It looks like your Bears are winning. Also, to update some scores around the league, Carolina 17-0 after the story of the week was the New Orleans Saints with Jameis Winston. Not looking so good today, so good news for Bucs fans, of course, being that hated rival, the New Orleans Saints. Again, we're live here at Ducky Sports Lounge, 1719 West Kennedy Boulevard in Tampa. Roger Shue says Turnover Tom is back today. LFG. I'll go ahead and fire those cannons right there. Good stuff. Did you shave the beard? No, I did not shave my beard. My beard is right there, as you can see it. So, like I said, get on the phone lines. Let's talk about this Tampa Bay Buccaneer team. What can they do today? Can they improve on it? And, of course, Tom Brady coming off a 379, 4-touchdown, 2-interception performance. And the guy just looks like he's 24 instead of 44, going against a very susceptible defense in the Atlanta Falcons, who once again lost to the Philadelphia Eagles 32-6. But don't tell Bruce Arians about that. Here's what he had to say in his presser this week here, live on NSPN, The Watch Party, live at Ducky's. Here we go.
I think we learned a lot. We learned a lot about ourselves. I think we were expecting a little bit more of a power running game rather than being spread all over the field and defending 50-some passes. But we got to get better tackling out in space. I mean, on all those screens and fake screens and all the things that we're going to see now. And we'll see it again this week. But, the two turnovers back to back just took a lot of continuity out of what we were doing. And, those usually kill you. Between that and the penalties, we were fortunate enough to win. And, I was very relieved walking off that field.
And what about the penalties in particular, Bruce? 11 for over 100. What do you think was the common denominator there?
Yeah, I think some of those pass interference calls, we play physical over there, and you got to know your referees as good as you do your opponents. So if you get one, you better get your hands off of them because you're going to get another one. So I think the biggest penalty that really ticked me off was the false start in the 2-minute drill where we lost our timeout. That cannot happen.
And you're exactly right. Welcome back to NSPN live here from Ducky Sports Lounge, 1719 West Kennedy Boulevard. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. Going back to it, Bucs beat the Cowboys 31-29, but even BA talked about it. Too many penalties in that game, over 100 yards of penalties, and, of course, the turnover situation, the 2 interceptions. And, of course, you can hear the crowd in the background watching the games here. We got Mr. Jason Powers, the power man right there. Let me go ahead and get your intro right there. And it goes back to BA's comments. Like he said, we cannot turn over the ball. We cannot have a penalty situation, even with the Atlanta Falcons, who are desperate for a win, because this is a team that definitely does not want to start off in a hole at 0-2.
No, I mean, the Falcons looked terrible last week against Philadelphia. New regime, Arthur Smith taking over in Atlanta. This should be a game that, again, the Buccaneers, if they don't just self-destruct, we should easily, comfortably win this game, multiple scores, because the talent disparity is vast, especially the Bucs offense against the Falcons defense.
I'm amazed, and I think there's a lot of fans out there that were freaking out, but that's how good Tom Brady is, right? I mean, you give him 124 in the game, basically you're going to win that game, Jason Powers. And then on top of it, Ryan Suckup coming off the year he had last year, 90% field goal kicker. So you're pretty confident in that, makes the field goal. But, of course, you're not going to beat any good teams. You're not going to even beat the Atlanta Falcons because make no mistake about it, the first matchup last year, the Bucs win 31-27.
Right.
They beat them at Raymond James Stadium on their way to a Super Bowl championship, 44-27. But the Falcons have always played them tough. In fact, the history of this, and we do a podcast, No Quarter Given, which can be found on all your major podcast platforms.
Yes.
27-28. So the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in history have an opportunity right now to win this game today to tie up that all-time series.
No, absolutely. I mean, and the one thing I like about this matchup today is, again, new coaching staff. So unlike years past where you've had the same coaches in place for a couple of years, this is a brand new staff. So it's really not a familiarity situation other than Matt Ryan, Calvin Ridley.
Yeah.
Matt Ryan, Calvin Ridley, but it's a new offense. It's a new scheme. It's a new defense. One thing to be aware of, Dean Pease, the defensive coordinator, was a New England guy for a long time. So
2004 to 2009, and also had recent success with the Tennessee Titans.
Against Tom Brady.
Right, in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Remember when they shut them down? So interesting storylines here. And, of course, B.A. talked about that in his presser this week, how he felt like it wasn't going to be a disadvantage. It was actually going to be an advantage to that point.
And Tom Brady knows Dean Pease.
Right.
The things he's used to doing, what he likes to call defensively.
You would think in the back of his mind, he definitely wants to get back at it because that's Tom. Tom remembers, 28-3. He had it in his intro this week. He still remembers that game. Super Bowl 50, of course, where the Patriots have a monumental comeback in that second half of the game. So he still remembers it, and he's dominated the Atlanta Falcons all time. 8-0,
never lost.
Trying to go 9-0 here. Let's hear from you guys. What do you guys think about this matchup? Bucs versus the Falcons, live here at Ducky's, 727-255. 0391 at 727-255-0391. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Jason Powers, the Power Man himself.
The Bucs are 12.5-point favorites, so people in Vegas think this is a huge, for an NFL spread, that is a huge spread in the NFL, 12.5 points.
Huge spread, huh?
They think it's going to be the Bucs in a cakewalk, to be honest with you. So the Bucs just got to go do their business. They don't have to be fantastic. Just do what you're supposed to do, and they'll win this game comfortably.
I think a lot of people were disappointed. Let's move on to this defense here. 403 yards to Dak Prescott. Of course, they get the win, but not enough pressure. I tell you what, let's go out to the phone lines. We'll get back to the defense in a moment. Let's go out to Mr. Ed from Palm Harbor. Ed, welcome to the NSPN watch party. Getting you ready for Bucs versus the Falcons. What do you have to say, my friend?
I think the Bucs are going to win. It's going to be 38-21.
Okay.
And that's pretty much what I think is going to happen. Is Carlton Davis going to play? Or
That's great. We need to look at the inactives.
We definitely need to look at the inactives. We'll see, because that was a big time story this week with Carlton Davis, of course, ending up surprisingly on that injury list with a hamstring injury. And of course, even with him playing, he's not going to be 100%. You need a Carlton Davis to basically defend a Calvin Ridley, who is younger, is a younger version.
Here's what I'm going to say about that today, Ed. I think Carlton Davis won't play because think about who you got the next 2 weeks. You go to Los Angeles, you go to New England. So I, in the back of my mind, they'll never admit this, but I think Bruce Arians thinks we can get through this game without Carlton Davis with the Falcons, knowing we got 2 big road trips the next 2 weeks against really good teams.
I think he plays today. Go ahead, Ed.
It might be an easier team to beat than the Falcons, believe it or not, based on injury issues. But the fact that the Falcons are really hungry for a win.
Right.
And I will check the inactives here in just a minute. We'll be able to check online here the inactives.
Well, really quick, I want you to bring that into the camera scene here, because this is a reason, besides us coming out here, NSPN Watch Party, getting on the camera there and saying what you want to say, take a look at that food. Go ahead and put that food up there, right there. It's kind of hot. Right in that camera.
Right out of the kitchen.
Right there. You can get it down here, get some nachos, get some wings. Ducky Sports Lounge.
For your birthday, I told you that.
All right. Well, we'll see you October 3rd. We'll see you on that Sunday night versus New England.
Big crowd here.
Oh, yeah. Big time.
I definitely think that's going to be a good game for the Bucs. I honestly think that Tom Brady is just so hungry to get back into New England.
Right.
He's just going to light him up, dude. I mean, you might see the best game of his career.
Think about it. We've talked about who's going to, from the Falcons' perspective, their pass rush is anemic. Don't have a legitimate pass rusher.
1 sack last week. Yes, that's it.
Who's going to cover? How are you going to cover all the weapons?
And they're very hungry for a win, and we're kind of beat up on defense, so it's going to be interesting.
Absolutely. All right, good stuff there. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons right there. Good stuff, Ed. Appreciate the call. Definitely call back during the post-game edition, all right?
Okay, man.
All right, my friend. Appreciate you. There you go. Good stuff there. Let's go out to these comments here. We read that already. Somebody thought I shaved my beard. I did not. I just trimmed it down. Bucs 8-9. Once again, Roger Shue earning his stripes as the tribal troll here. Bucs got lucky. Okay, I guess so. Is this the beginning of it all? How do we watch the game? You watch it on Fox. You don't watch it here. We don't show the game here. We get you ready for Bucs versus the Falcons there, Jordan. So if you want to call in, definitely use the phone line. 727-255-0391 at 727-255-0391. Roger,
Peter,
again, I'm drinking a Matty Ice. Congratulations.
Couple interesting storylines from these other games. Jameis Winston really struggling for the Saints today. They're down 17-0 to Carolina.
9 for 15, 78 yards, has thrown an interception. So the Golden Boy coming back to Tampa.
He threw a bad interception at the end of the first half.
Yes.
Very bad.
Well, there you go. 17-0. Sam Darnold, the story, 20 or 26, 245.
Playing well.
2 touchdowns. There you go, Carolina Panthers.
And New Orleans was ravaged with COVID issues with their coaching staff. They've got 3 or 4 defensive starters out.
Marshawn Lattimore being one of them. Marcus Davenport.
Yep. I mean, a bunch of COVID issues with within their coaching staff. I think they're down like 6 coaches. 6 different coaches that are not coaching today because of COVID. So give Carolina credit. They're doing what they got to do. They've got. Here comes Taysom Hill in the game for a little wildcat. But yeah, Jameis had a very bad interception early in the late second quarter on one of the typical just throw it up for grabs kind of situations.
Correct. And
that we're used to seeing.
That's my thing there. Look, you can limit his throws, but when you get down, your defense is not able to stop anybody. That's when it gets interesting, when you have to throw the ball more than 20 times. So with that being said, of course,
we've also got a situation in Chicago. Andy Dalton out hurt with a knee injury.
So Justin Fields is in now.
He's been in since late second quarter, and they're in the red zone here, about to score against the Bengals 7-3 game.
All right, good stuff. All right, so I'll tell you what, Carlton Davis.
Yep.
So you don't think he plays today? I think he plays today. We'll monitor that situation. We'll get you the latest on that. Of course, the other big story coming out of the Cowboy game, SMB with a dislocated elbow.
Yep.
Could be 3 games required, but how much of a loss is that in that back end, in your opinion?
Well, it's even more of a loss now if Carlton Davis doesn't play, because then you got Jamel Dean. You got to play probably D. Delaney, the guy who played very well in the preseason. So everybody else has to play. Maybe you see a Ross Cockrell back at cornerback. He's been playing safety.
Sure.
The good thing is Whitehead's back today, so that might free up Cockrell to go play nickel corner instead of having to play safety. So that's a good news. Is that
Jamel Dean?
Jordan Whitehead is back at safety.
Absolutely.
Jamel Dean will be playing a more prominent role at
Hopefully.
corner.
I'll tell you what, I talked to Ricky Reynolds, the former Tampa Bay Buccaneer corner, and of course, New England Patriot and Fox 13 analyst on this issue about the SMB injury and what Jamel Dean needs to improve on here. Live at Ducky's on the NSPN Watch Party. Enjoy.
My concerns are that they got back into the old habit of grabbing and holding, and they do a lot with their hands when they're guarding these receivers, and it caused them to have a lot of penalties and to get in trouble a lot of times. And I had a chance to go out and watch them during the summer during training camp, and they were doing the same thing in practice. Grabbing guys and holding and things like that. And when you do that in practice, you're going to do it in the game, and they're constantly being called for, pass interference penalties and things like that. So I'm really concerned about their play and them being consistent throughout the year. I thought they had learned and had grown a little bit, especially during the playoffs, but I still see a little bit of that same softness to that secondary back there where they're allowing passes to be completed in front of them and things of that nature, and are kind of off balance a little bit. So I think it's going to take a little time for these guys to get back into rhythm and some coaching as well. Because like I said, they haven't played a full game. They haven't had a lot of reps. So hopefully now that the season has started, now that they'll be playing, all 4 quarters, hopefully these guys will improve quickly and get their stride back.
Where do you lie on a Jamel Dean? Because the fan base really hates him at this point. And I feel like, look, he can definitely be one of the top corners in this league when he wants to be. What do you see about him? What would you improve with this game if you're coaching this kid up?
Well, I mean, he has talent. He definitely has a lot of talent. He has a lot of length. He's long. He can make plays. We just have to go back into with him. You just got to watch tape and see things that he's doing right, things that he's doing wrong, and you got to coach him up, And I believe in him, but I think there are certain things that he's doing that probably get him in a little bit of trouble. I know he made a couple of nice plays last year. He was able to intercept the ball and take it to the house, and I see him, taking those peaks at times, and he's getting beat on, double moves where he's, looking like, ready to go and make that interception and loses the receiver. So little things like that, he has to be a little bit more wise and not be thinking, about the pick every single time and just play and then allow those opportunities of getting interceptions to come to him once he has that opportunity. So you just got to play smart, You got to take care of that receiver first, make sure he doesn't catch the ball, and then, work on the interception part of the game And that's one thing I think he really needs to work on, because he started getting a little bit aggressive with after he made a couple of nice plays last year. So we have to be careful there with Jamil Dean. And you got to be careful with his confidence, too. You got to make sure he's still keeps himself up and that he's ready to go and he doesn't get down on himself for getting beat during those games this past week.
Good stuff. Now, Misador, that's the question he had. So you believe that they're basically using his aggressiveness against him, right?
Oh, yes, for sure. I mean, when guys, like to, jump on, especially those little shorter routes, the slants and the quick outs and things like that, and they like to try to make plays on those short balls, they're going to double move. They're gonna try to jump on your aggressiveness, try to beat you over the top, and that's what you need to protect first.
All right, welcome back to NSPN's Watch Party live at Ducky, 1719 West Kennedy Boulevard in Tampa. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with the power man himself, Mr. Jason Powers. I heard Ricky, and you listen to him because he's a former NFL corner for the Bucs and the Patriots, so he's been there, he's done that, and he says this secondary is soft. He also says that Dean and other teams are using his aggressiveness against him, so it comes down to coaching, and it comes down to doing what this back end did last year in the postseason by basically shutting down quarterbacks, shutting down good quarterbacks in the Drew Brees and Aaron Rodgers and, of course, the Patrick Mahomes.
I mean, teams watch film. They see guys peeking in the backfield as corners.
Correct.
You can try to coach it out of them if you're Todd Bowles, and I'm sure they have. But ultimately, if you're Jamel Dean and any other corner, you got to break the bad habits.
Right.
You have to play technique football and not try to, again, you have a little success, you jump a route. You can't think you're going to jump the route every time.
Correct.
Because they're going to double move you all day long.
Absolutely. And we got some breaking news here. What is the breaking news, Mr.
Carlton
Jason Powers?
Davis is active today for the Buccaneers from the reports. So he is active. So that's good news for the Bucs. Obviously, that means you don't have to, again, Jamel Dean doesn't have to be your number one corner today.
Correct. Exactly. And that's
he'll be the number two corner.
And I tell you right now, let's go out to BA what he truly thinks about Carlton Davis. And then we may get a breakdown from Stephen Shea of Barstool Sports on Mr. Davis and his play versus the Cowboys here live at Ducky's on NSPN's Watch Party. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Jason Powers. Enjoy.
No doubt about it. Carlton's, I think, one of the top corners in the league, and he does give you a lot of flexibility defensively as far as being able to follow a guy from inside to outside and both sides. So, some guys only do it from one side to the other on the outside. He'll follow his guy around, and it gives Todd a tremendous amount of flexibility.
So there you go. And, like we talked about, Davis has everything to gain at this point because he's coming into being a free agent. He had an interception. He wants to be a top 10 corner. BA believes he's a top 10 corner, and you're going to have to play like that today versus a Calvin Ridley. Of course, the Falcons, they don't have Julio Jones anymore.
Right.
But Ridley last week, 5 catches for 51 yards. If you're not doing the proper technique, like Ricky Reynolds said, if you're being soft in that back end,
right,
then they're going to make you pay.
No, I mean, Carlton Davis is probably a top 10 corner in the league. He's going to get paid. There's no doubt he's going to get paid this year, either during the year or early in the offseason before free agency starts. The Buccaneers know they got to keep Carlton Davis.
Right.
This is the Todd Bowles kind of guy. He can play man-to-man. He can play all over the field, slot, outside. He's the integral cog to our defensive effort because he allows the other guys to roll the coverage the other way if need be, to help a Jamel Dean, to help Murphy Bunting, to help the front seven.
Absolutely. I'll be interested to see what they do with that nickel situation. They could be playing Ross Cockrell. They could be playing a Mike Edwards. Pierre Desir was to sign this week, if I can say his name, on the practice squad. He's been around a little bit.
D. Delaney played pretty well.
Delaney
played well in the preseason.
But it's not a situation like you rather get the injury out of the way, but you hope that Davis doesn't aggravate it because, as we talked about, a hamstring injury can be a lingering injury that definitely is not good throughout the year. I tell you what, let's go out to the comments here. Drinking Monty Ice, okay. Derek Carr out with an injury there. So there you go. Some breaking news from Roger Shue, and CD3 is active as we just reported. Anything else? Anybody else inactive? Or just at this point, no big-time injuries to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers?
I don't think so. I think we're fairly healthy. I think, Murphy Bunting obviously is going to be out. But, Lots of offensively, all the guys, no injuries on the offensive side. My question is, who gets the first touch in the backfield? Is it your boy, the victim of volume, or does Leonard Fournette get the first opportunity this week because of the fumble problems last week with Ronald Jones?
Look, both of those running backs did not play well versus the Dallas Cowboys, and even BA talked about that. I tell you what, let's go out to BA's comments really quick on possibly what you're talking about in this running game here live at the NSPN watch party at Ducky's. Here we go.
I think when you get into that type of game, Ira, your quarterback's going to get hit a lot. I think it's got to be balanced. We're just not teeing off on the quarterback all the time. And, that's one of our goals defensively here is to stop the run and then get after the quarterback. So we have to run the ball and stay balanced. Is it 20-40? Is it 40-20? Who knows? Each game dictates it. But I think to keep your quarterback clean in this league, you have to have a running game.
Now, Bruce, having said that, you only ran the ball 14 times against Dallas. I think that was the NFL low. So is that something you got your eye on going into the Atlanta game?
Definitely. We got to run the ball more, and we'll get more out of play action that way.
And that's what it comes down to. It's about balance to this team. This team is so dangerous. You saw it in the postseason last year when this team can run the ball. And he even said he doesn't know, but you would think, and our own Dennis Phillips of ABC Action News came on the other night on a Friday Night Fantasy show, Friday Night Fantasy Football, and said there may be some rain. So Jason Powers, you would think with the rain, that would definitely favor the running game, especially the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the victim of volume or Leonard Fournette, Lombardi Lenny, if you will, but both of those players have to play better. They have to be accountable. And, of course, Jones being taken out of the game because he lost his confidence. You can't lose your confidence even though you have a fumble. And I'm not sure about this organization and how much confidence they do have in the Jones because Chris Godwin fumbles. You see him back in the huddle. Ronald Jones fumbles, and he's out of the rest of the game. Again, can't put the ball on the ground, but this organization has to give him the opportunities. And Ronald Jones, when he's given those opportunities,
Can't fumble.
Yeah,
I think Ronald Jones gets down on himself as much as anybody else because he's had a history of fumbling here in his Buccaneer career a little bit. He's not been the most reliable ball handler as a running back. I think the Buccaneers want him to be the guy.
Sure.
I think I just think they want him to show, hey, he can do it week in, week out. He's not going to get 20 carries every week like I know you want him to get 20 carries.
Well, I think, look, the more carries he gets, the more opportunities, and he is really their legitimate home run threat. I get it. Fournette may be a better pass catcher, also maybe a better blocker. That remains to be seen because Giovanni Bernard is on this team, and he's most likely going to be your third down option. But at the end of the day, your true home run threat, the guy that went for 98 yards, the guy that was only, less than 20 yards short of 1,000 yards, that's your guy, and that's a guy that has everything to earn, so he's even more hungry because he's a free agent. So for me, I think going forward, that's your best running back. But again, he's not making me look good when he's fumbling the ball, and he's certainly not making himself look good, and he's basically ruining his value, if you will, going forward.
Nah, the Bucs need to. The Bucs are not going to be a run-centric team. The pass is going to be the dominant part of this offense, but you have to have enough balance to where when you need to run the ball the last 4 or 5 minutes of a game to run the clock out, to get those critical 3rd and 4th and 1s, you got to be able to have confidence that you can turn around and hand it off to whoever's back there, either Fournette or Jones, to get those short yardage situations, convert those 3rd and 4th down situations.
Looking at this Falcons defense, of course, they have Deion Jones in the middle there, and he's been a Bucs killer, of course, a couple years ago, taking interception back in overtime. Who could forget that? The 30th interception. But besides that, here's a defense that gave up 173 yards to the Philadelphia Eagles. So I feel like, look, whether it's Jones, the victim of volume, whether it's a Lombardi Lenny or, of course, a Giovanni Bernard, I think the Bucs in that advantage right there, that could be one of the main keys to this game.
And again, long term, I think you don't want Tom Brady throwing the ball 45 times a week. You want him in the 35, 38 throws a week. Run the ball 25 to 30 times if you can, and then that kind of thing. So that will be – we got an interception by the Bears. They're about to run it in for a touchdown.
Look at this.
Roquan Smith goes coast to coast.
There you go.
Live instant updates for you here at Ducky's.
I love it. That's why you're the power man, Jason Powers.
Roquan Smith.
16-3 Chicago Bears over the Cincinnati Bengals in the revenge game, if
Yes.
you will, for Andy Dalton, who is actually out of the game with an injury. That's the story with Justin Fields.
And
but
the Justin
Roquan
Fields
Smith
era has begun in Chicago.
as it should have,
Yep.
Jason Powers, because we talked about that. We got Blake Anthony in the background.
It's a great job by Roquan just reading that slant, goes coast to coast.
Absolutely. We're live here at Ducky 1719 West Kennedy Boulevard in Tampa. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Jason Powers. Blake Anthony coming on in a minute here. Let's go out to one of our guests here, a new podcast. I've known this guy for a long time, joined NSPN, used to be part of another platform. We won't talk about that, but we will talk about our friendship. Welcome to the family, Mr. Misador here of the Hoosier Crew. Of course, get you ready for Bucs versus the Falcons. Your thoughts?
Hey, Peter, how's it going today? Bucs versus Falcons. My thoughts are, what are we going to see from Jamal Dean? It's kind of a scary situation to think about when you have Carlton Davis, who's just been nursed in a hamstring. I didn't find out that until this week.
Mm-hmm.
He's obviously going to be shadowing Calvin Ridley, in my opinion anyway. I'm not a coach, just a fat ass with a microphone. But he's going to be, in my opinion, he's going to shadow Calvin Ridley. He's going to go wherever he goes. You're going to leave Jamal Dean with Russell Gage. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, if Matt Ryan has time, he's proven that he's a quarterback that can lead a team.
Well, I tell you right now,
he's going to have time.
But Matt's not going to have time. I mean, he should not. That offensive line was a sieve last week against the Eagles.
Well, I tell you right now, I do think that the Matt Ryan era at this point is winding down. I think he's on the decline at this point. It comes back to that Bucs back end, of course, talking to Ricky Reynolds, his concerns, and he had said it himself. He feels like this back end is soft. Is that what you see here, Misador?
I don't know if they're soft or if that there's poor technique. Outside of Carlton Davis, not saying he's a stellar corner or he's the answer, but he's the best we have. But I think they have poor technique. You can gas Blake Anthony on this. He and I have different views on this. I think Jamal Dean gets caught flat-footed quite a bit. That's why he gets beat on the double move so often, in my opinion. Once those heels hit as a corner, you're dropping back in coverage. Those heels hit, you're beat. If you guess wrong, you're beat. In the NFL, athleticism doesn't win as often as it did in college.
And Misador, I think what you'll see today. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, in a game of inches, you're looking at milliseconds. Once you're flat-footed, you've got to restart. And once you restart, you're already beat.
Yeah.
I think
if
you'll
he's
see.
Even he's leaving.
I think you'll see Todd Bowles today roll coverage to help Jamel Dean, have a safety involved in the coverage. So I don't think they're going to leave Jamel on an island, especially with Ridley. Now, I think Jamel Dean could probably handle Russell Gage, the number 2, but I don't think you're going to see a whole lot of one-on-one separation as far as opportunities for Jamel Dean to get exposed.
I tell you right now.
Oh, absolutely.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, absolutely. I agree with you 100%, especially with Jordan Whitehead coming back. You got a lot more comfortability with communication between the two of them. So
absolutely,
I'm not as worried as I would be if he wasn't.
All right, good stuff. We're on with Misador here, a new podcast on NSPN, the Hoosier Crew. Go ahead and tell everybody about that with your co-host, Mr. Keith Robbins Jr.
We run a audio podcast. We do an audio podcast pre, half, and post game of every game. We usually do our video cast on Tuesdays, 5:30 Eastern time, which is about 6:30 where I'm from. That's 6:30 Central. But I have a question for you, Peter. This is an email I got in our Hoosier Crew email today. With their second pick in the 2021 draft, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers selected Kyle Trask. Now, you make that selection knowing you're returning 22 starters.
Mm-hmm.
So, by not selecting someone to compete for a starting job, you essentially said, we're waiting till next year to do anything, really. Now, is Kyle Trask a wasted pick, in your opinion, knowing how sore the Bucs are in secondary depth?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think they're pretty happy with their 3 secondary members there. Of course, Carlton Davis, of course, SMB, and a Jamel Dean. Of course, it doesn't necessarily look great right now, but at the end of the day, look, you have an opportunity to take a quarterback. I trust BA and his knowledge, and of course him being a quarterback whisperer, working with the Peyton Manning, working with the Ben Roethlisberger and an Andrew Luck, and now Tom Brady. And of course, Tom Brady kind of signed off on it. He likes the kid. Kid was highly productive at Florida, even though it was 1 year at the end of the day. So I like the pick, and that, even though this organization hasn't been great with developing quarterbacks, I think they're going to be able to do it right because they got the proper coaching to do it. And they're also going to give him time to basically sit and learn by the greatest of all time.
I mean, that to me, that's a no-brainer pick. They got the guy they needed in the first round in Tryon.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to be the replacement for JPP. He's going to be that third guy that you can rotate in with Barrett and JPP. I think it was a luxury pick. I mean, you need a quarterback. We've not drafted a young quarterback in quite a while.
Sure.
You obviously drafted Jameis, but as far as a guy that
you know him
exactly,
right.
a guy that doesn't have to play.
Correct. You have the luxury of that. That's the reason why you're able to make that pick. Don't want to rush you here because we got Alex Fleming here in just a little bit, but go ahead, give me some of your keys to this Bucs game versus the Falcons. What do you think the main key is? Is it the running game, or of course, is it the defense? Not just the back end, but that front end there versus that very susceptible, young and inexperienced offensive line for the Falcons.
I really think the key to the game today is going to be the front seven. You're going to see how well Devin White and Vontae David do against an athletic tight end like Kyle Pitts. But you're also going to see a lot of line pressure and a lot of stunting off our linebackers. And Jordan Whitehead being back is going to give us more opportunities to blitz out of the secondary. I'm looking to see the Bucs have at least 5 sacks this game. 3 to 5 turnovers, depending on how much pressure they get on Matt Ryan. The more sacks, less turnovers. That's my opinion.
The Falcon offensive line is not very good. They're average at best and probably below average. This should be a day. Even if you don't get the sack totals, there should be consistent pressure. Vita Vea played really well last week up the middle, pushing that pocket back. Ryan's not a runner, where Dak is more of a scrambler and can make plays.
Correct.
Ryan's not leaving the pocket.
No.
He's either throwing the ball away or taking the sack.
But we heard from BA this week, and you can comment on this, and then we'll get you out of here, Misadora, of the Hoosier Crew podcast here with Keith Robbins Jr., that if Matt Ryan is on his spot, he can definitely pick you apart. First and foremost, how much credence do you put in BA's comments? You got to knock him off the spot. But to me, I feel like Ryan has declined. What do you say?
Oh, he's definitely declining, but you give any quarterback in the NFL time to read the defense, time to make the proper selections, going to pick you apart. DBs can't be expected to cover more than 4 seconds. And if that's the case, the Falcons are going to have a field day. So if we don't get the pressure, that is a definite possibility. But
I don't see how the Falcons stop us.
Yeah.
How are the Falcons going to stop us on offense?
Oh, I don't see it happening. The only team I see stopping the Bucs on offense is the Bucs today.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Good stuff. Misador of the Hoosier Crew there. Go ahead and promote yourself. Promote this new show here live on NSPN.
Well, you'll find us always on NSPN. We'll also be on the Hoosier Crew Facebook page. That's Crew, Krewe. And I always am, I'm active with the Buckaholics, so it'll be on the Indiana Buckaholics page as well as many other sites that we share to. But like I said, definitely go to buckaholics.org and register. You had a lot of information from us there as well. So until halftime, I guess I'll let you guys go. I'm saying Bucs 37, Falcons 17.
All right, there you go. Misador along with Keith Robbins Jr., the Hoosier Crew podcast. Thanks a lot for your time. I'll tell you what, let's go out to Alex Fleming, the flamethrower in the press box live at Raymond James Stadium. Welcome, my friend. How you doing? You ready for this Bucs versus Falcons tilt?
I actually think this is going to be a lopsided affair. I'm not worried about the Falcons at all. As a matter of fact, I think this is going to be an old-fashioned game of duck hunt. We're going to be shooting down some birds today. The defense isn't ready for the top 3 wide receivers in the NFL, and Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Antonio Brown, who I believe is an all-pro this year. Vita Vea is going to give a lot of pressure to that offensive line, leading to sacks for the linebackers. But I wrote about this in the article that's now available on NSPN called Duck Hunt. Matt Ryan might have Hall of Fame numbers, but he's 0-8 against Tom Brady. And I just don't think we're having it. After what we saw week 1, the way Dak Prescott picked on our corners,
Mm.
I think Tampa is going to make a statement today.
Now, the Bucs got some good news here, Flims. Basically, they're going to have Carlton Davis. He's going to be active. Of course, SMB not being in that secondary. So do you think this back end with getting back Jordan Whitehead can put it all together and really, of course, shut down a Calvin Ridley and, of course, the impressive rookie out of Florida, Kyle Pitts?
I'm not worried about Ridley. I'm worried about Pitts.
Okay.
Pitts is a wide receiver stuck in a tight end's body, and his catch radius is going to create problems and mismatches for our linebackers. He's faster than our linebackers, and he's bigger than our secondary.
Right.
He's the only issue I see us having. But if Matt Ryan's looking at the sky, I don't think we're going to worry about Kyle Pitts much today. If Pitts eats and they have no running game, that's all right, because it's not going to last long. If Pitts continues to eat and Atlanta can establish a run, well, then we'll have a long day. I think we'll be okay.
We're on with one of our great writers here on NSPN, Mr. Alex Fleming. We call him the flamethrower here, live from Ducky's Sports Lounge in Tampa. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with the power man himself, Mr. Jason Powers. That was the other big story this week. Of course, Ronald Jones losing his confidence last Thursday night. BA coming out and basically saying he's our guy, he's our starter. Do you think they're going to run the ball? Only ran the ball 14 times, flamethrower, versus the Dallas Cowboys. This could be a big key to the game today versus that Atlanta susceptible defense, right?
Well, I would like to say yes, but I get a funny feeling that Brady's going to have 400 yards. The run is going to open up the pass, but on this Atlanta secondary, A.J. Terrell, burnt toast, the linebackers can barely cover you or me. I highly do believe that Brady is going to have a hell of a day. And although Ronald Jones will be starting, I have some funny feeling that Leonard Fournette's going to find the end zone. So, yeah, no worries. If they can control Ridley and Pitts, it's going to be easy breezy.
Now, we talked about Matt Ryan, only 164 passing yards versus the Philadelphia Eagles, but to me, that was not the story. The offensive line, especially a Jalen Mayfield, will have his hands full today. In fact, Matt Hennessy, who is the center there, he may have to drink some Hennessy with the matchup he has today with the Ndamukong Suh and, of course, the Vita Vea. Talk about that defensive line, especially those two big hosses in the middle.
I believe Ndamukong Suh was letting people know that he woke up and chose violence this morning. On Twitter, someone said good luck to Ndamukong Suh today, and he said, I think he meant to send that to Matt. Matt Ryan needs all the luck that he can get. As mentioned before, the offensive line is in shambles. He didn't have a good outing against the Philadelphia Eagles. Ladies and gentlemen, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are not the Philadelphia Eagles. Plus, we're a little bit upset after what happened this last Thursday, being it so close to 31-29 against those Dallas Cowboys. This is a division rival that has a season series against us 29-27. After this year, it should be 29-29. And ever since that 28-3 debacle in the Super Bowl, Atlanta's been on a decline. Expect the offensive line to be harassed, assaulted, mutilated.
Wow. All right, Ted. I want to correct you. It's 27-28 all-time Falcons here, but of course the Buccaneers have an opportunity to tie up this all-time series on with Alex Fleming, one of our great writers here on NSPN.
We're gonna let me give you a quick live update. Jameis Winston just ran one in for New Orleans, 17-7 Carolina.
There you
early
go.
Fourth quarter.
But that's the big story of the day. Jameis Winston not playing necessarily well versus a Carolina team that looks absolutely improved, especially a Sam Darnold. Are you surprised by that, Fleming?
Not at all. I actually called the Carolina Panthers to finish second in the division this year. That defense is for real. They needed a shutdown corner and some help on the defensive line. Guess what? They got it. J.C. Horn, Jeremy Shin, you might as well call that Green Hornet and Cato. The defense is up to par, and DJ Moore. No Marcus Lattimore. DJ Moore is going to eat 7 receptions, 70 yards, and a touchdown. Jameis Winston looked amazing last week in Jacksonville, but his career numbers, I believe he has 9 touchdown passes to 14 interceptions. We'll make that 9 touchdown passes to 15 interceptions, even though he just ran one in. Jameis can only do so much when he's not having that much help from the running game. But no, I'm not shocked at all.
Another Joe Burrow interception live in Chicago.
Wow.
His third one in the last 4 possessions.
Yeah, well, hey, look, that was the Andy Dalton revenge game, but of course Dalton goes out Justin Fields comes in. So now do you feel like with Fields starting for the Chicago Bears, most likely going forward, that the Bears could definitely be a contender in that NFC North?
I absolutely do. I didn't like the Dalton signing, and I griped about it back in late February, early March. Well, you know what? Be careful what you wish for, because you just might get it. Justin Fields should be the remaining starter for the rest of the year.
The Chicago defense is playing really well right now.
Did you see how the offensive line perked up whenever Fields was in the game? Did you see how the wide receivers are trying just a little bit harder? Defense perked up, as you mentioned before. Khalil Mack with the sack today, 58 with the run back touchdown. That team is ready for some reinvigoration, and Justin Fields gives them that opportunity. I believe under Fields, they have a chance at the division.
All right,
real quick. Let me ask Alex one quick.
Yes.
Alex, what's the weather like at the stadium?
It's nice and sunny, about 89, 90 degrees, not a cloud in the sky, and a bunch of pigeons on the football field.
Alex Fleming, the flamethrower himself, live here on NSPN. Tell Leo Haggerty hello. We'll see him this week. Give me a final prediction, Bucs versus the Falcons. Can the Bucs pick up their second win? Flamethrower.
Tampa Bay definitely picks up their second win. As long as we can get through this game healthy, we need all the help we get for Sunday Night Football next week against the Rams. That's a real measuring stick. This is more of an exhibition. I see Tampa winning 38-13.
All right, there you go, Alex Fleming. Once again, go ahead and promote yourself here live on NSPN.
I'm a boring guy. Florida Sun Review, Central Florida's oldest black living newspaper, NSPN, Next Gen Sports. Please continue to bet against us because we're not going anywhere. St. Louis Fan Report, Truth Serum Football. Hey, listen up. We got some new things on the horizon. I believe there's going to be an after party after the victory tonight. Sports Arena as well, Mondays and Wednesdays. Eric Wilson and the crew. Say what? Say it again. Tyree. Guys, we're just getting started. Pay attention to Florida.
Absolutely. Pay attention to NSPN because, once again, this absolutely platform is evolving right before your eyes. Alex Fleming, thanks a lot for your time. And once again, congratulations on being credentialed with us at Raymond James Stadium for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, my friend. All right, there you go. Alex Fleming right there. I tell you what, we'll get you out of here. I want to get a prediction from you before we go off to Blake Anthony here. Bucs versus the Falcons. Who wins and why?
Well, I first of all, I don't think the Falcons can stop us offensively on offense. So I think the Bucs are going to name their score on offense. I think you're going to see at least 35, if not 38 to 41. I'm going to say 41. I'm going to say 41-17. Big. Yeah, and I think you're going to see the balance of the running attack. I think you're going to see plenty of runs out of Jones and Fournette. I think Brady's going to throw for probably 3 touchdowns, and don't be surprised if the defense scores today as well.
I like it. There you go. That's the power man himself. Go ahead and promote yourself. We'll get you back on here in just a little bit, but go ahead and promote yourself here, Mr. Jason Powers.
Powers on Sports Podcast and all your podcast platforms. Peter and I hosting the No Quarter Given podcast, where we outline Buck history against every week's opponent. So next week's going to be the LA Rams. You can still find our podcast with the Atlanta Falcons this week.
Mm-hmm.
We did the Cowboys last week, so find us all over the dial on the podcast platform. And obviously, thanks for having me on, and keep up the great work, man.
Absolutely. There you go. Jason Powers, Powers on Sports Podcast. Let's go ahead and take a break. We're live here at Ducky's 1719 West Kennedy Boulevard in Tampa. I'm your host, Peter Blake. Keep it locked.
Hey, Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to stpetekeytag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. stpetekeytag.com.
All right, welcome back here to Ducky Sports Lounge in Tampa, 1719 West Kennedy Boulevard. I'm your host, Peter Blake, hosting this pregame show, getting you ready for Bucs versus the Falcons, along with Mr. Blake Anthony of Sports Talk 49. Blake and Blake Sports reunited, and it feels so good. Of course, we did this in the preseason. We did this last Thursday night. But how do you feel about this game here? Certainly seems like a big-time advantage for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, namely offense versus defense. And the other way around, this Falcon team looks listless.
Listless is an understatement, Peter. They're decimated with injuries, with people on IR. Their running back position is a joke. The wide receiver position is very thin. They can't afford any injuries. I don't know what they're really going to rely on the offense. They did try last week in week 1 against the Eagles to try to come out with a fast tempo offense. That quickly fizzled out. Their offensive line is really, really bad. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to expose the left guard position there. The Falcons' offensive line it's as I said in my winning angle, it shouldn't be no less than 4 sacks and possibly under 20 points for the Falcons from this game.
Well, I tell you right now, I want to go out to the winning angle, and then we'll come back. We'll let you expound on it here on NSPN's Watch Party. So let's go out to that really quick. I got you right there. Let's see if this works here live on NSPN. Here we go.
Well, I got a treat for you fantasy owners. If you got Antonio Brown, make sure to play him this week. You won't want to miss out on the points you might get. Eagles take advantage of a sloppy Atlanta defense. Take advantage of the numbers. Run the two wide receivers to come block the 2 DBs. 3 versus 2, able to get 10 yards. Here's another example of that in the same game. Falcons just don't learn. Sloppy defense. Linebackers can't get to the wide receivers on the edge, and it's 10 yards a pop. Easy. Those are just like handoffs. Here's another one. Let's go empty set here. Falcons want to bring a blitz and man coverage. Jalen Hurts sees it. Knowing Tom Brady will see the same thing. What do you do here? Motion down. Oh, that's a pick route or a rub route. There you go. Devontae Smith gets his first NFL touchdown. That could be easily Antonio Brown or Chris Godwin. It'll probably be Mike Evans on the rub, and you just drop that into the bucket. I expect Tom Brady and Brian Leftwich to use double tight ends this play. As you see right here, Philadelphia uses. I can see O.J. Howard and Rob Gronkowski on these edges. Seal these guys inside to buy a decent pocket for Tom Brady to stand in. Look downfield. Just look at the time he has here. These defenders are all locked up. That'll be Jensen, Marpet, and Kappa. Tom Brady will be able to find a Chris Godwin or an Antonio Brown across the middle and just deliver a strike. Expect to see a lot of that on third downs for the Buccaneers. I got one more tip for you fantasy owners. If you got the Bucs defense, play them this week. 3 technique will be Vita Vea. Look at that. It'll be the Buccaneers defensive front. He gets one-on-one with the Falcons rookie offensive lineman Jalen Mayfield. Had an awful game as you see poor technique, lunges, and misses a defender for easy pressure. That's going to be Vita Vea, Ndamukong Suh, and company back there. Let's see this. Moving into the 2 technique. Again, one-on-one with the guard, Jalen Mayfield. Offensive line's locked up on the backside, sliding protection to Fletcher Cox. Mayfield cannot hold his own, cannot sink an anchor. There's pressure again there. Again, that's usually Vita Vea's side. It'll be McClendon and Nacho and all those other guys, but I expect Vita Vea to have a really big game this game. Line him up at the 5 technique. Whoop, sleeps inside. Is able to get to the running back. Running back gets by him, but sticks with the play. Runs him down. Vita Vea has been able to run down Ronald Jones in practice. Don't think he can't run a Falcons running back down. Let's check it again here. 4th and 10. Move to the 2-eye spot. Let's see what happens again with Mayfield. Lunges again. Able to get around the guard and is able to get pressure on Matt Ryan and get a nice, tasty sack, patty sack. Bucs don't have 4 sacks this game. I'll be surprised. Here it is again. Lining up on the inside, just on the shade outside of the guard. Guard can't sink his anchor. Kid keeps hand fighting with the defender. Can't hold his own. Matt Ryan is sacked again. Expect the Buccaneers to beat the Falcons 33-17. Falcons' weakness will be Jalen Mayfield, the left guard, number 77, which they will attack over and over with inside blitzes, and Vita Vea. I also expect the Falcons to really struggle because they are lacking depth in the running back position and multiple other spots with injuries and other things like that. So the Buccaneers should have a good pickup game here, and fantasy owners should get a lot of points.
All right, welcome back to Ducky Sports Lounge in Tampa, 1719 West Kennedy Boulevard. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Blake Anthony of Sports Talk 49. Astute breakdown, as always. 4 sacks by this Buccaneer defensive line. You can definitely see that with the trouble that offensive line of the Falcons had last week versus the Eagles, namely a Jalen Mayfield, who just looked like he was lost in the sauce.
Yeah, lost in the sauce is an understatement. Peter. Lunges, bad footwork. I don't know why they even drafted him. I guess you have good and bad days, but it's just poor technique on his behalf, just lunging, and he just couldn't sink his feet against the defender he was going against was pretty good, but it wasn't like it was Fletcher Cox or a Pro Bowl defender he was up against. So I can only imagine what the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the Ndamukong Suh and Vita Vea saw when they saw that tape.
I mean, that's really the key because, Dak is a little bit mobile. He's not going to be mobile. He's not a mobile quarterback like Jalen Hurts.
Right.
Matt Ryan has to get on the spot. So what do? You get pressure on him so he's not able to make those throws. And that showed last week, only 164 yards passing versus the Eagles. And I feel like the Bucs are a way better defense, especially up front. And you look at that defensive line last week, a little bit disappointed, no sacks. Look, give credit to where credit is due. The Cowboys as an offensive line did a great job collectively keeping all those guys at bay, but you expect a big-time turnout today, especially from a Shaq, a JPP, and a Tryon Shoyinka.
Shoyinka? We got to get him on and find out how you really pronounce that.
Shoyinka.
Yeah, I know. We'll go with that.
Shoyinka.
Yeah, say that 3 times fast.
I did.
But, I wouldn't call that fast. I would call that middle at best.
Middle at best?
Middle at best.
But am I a mumble rapper now?
Oh, God, Peter. You know how you can't
Oh,
stand
please.
mumble rap.
I can't.
I don't even, you notice I don't even mention rap on here.
All right, go ahead. I think you can hear the crowd in the
Bengals
background.
finally just scored.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jamar Chase.
Yeah.
Fantasy wide receiver I have, by the way. There you go. Go
sorry
ahead.
to hear that.
Well, not really. He was just scored.
Falcons, what are we talking about? You talking about mumble rap.
That offensive line
yes.
versus that Bucs.
What I wanted to say was, you brought up 2 good points. You're talking about Dallas the first week.
Sure.
Now Tampa fans are here, and even Brad Johnson, so you know how they get down so quickly. Let's set things in perspective here. Jerry Jones spent a lot of money on your offensive line. Their offensive line did exactly what you paid them to do.
Yeah.
I've never seen Jason Pierre-Paul get thrown in the mud like Teron Smith did to him last week. So it tells you right there that these guys on the line were no slouches. They handled their business. The Bucs got pressure at some plays, but it wasn't as much as we're used to seeing because you're playing an offensive line that's paid to block like that.
Sure.
And then on the other half of that, everybody wanted to crucify Jamel Dean. Jamel Dean wasn't the only person that got beat that game. I could point out several DBs that got beat several times in that game. Yes, Jamil went back to some old habits, but you didn't play slouch receivers. You played 3 really good wideouts. And you don't think that from one week to the next they're not going to change? What happened to Jamil Dean when he got beat up by DK Metcalf? Went in the film room and went back and got his craft up, went and got a couple of interceptions after that. It ain't always what happened to you last week. What are you doing to better prepare yourself the next week? Are you going to make the same mistakes, or are you going to jump up and be better? Now moving to the Falcons. It's not going to be like that. So these guys should get their fantasy stats up this week, as I said, in the winning angle. I don't expect them to have a real big slip-ups in this game. It's football. Some things can happen. People could fall down, crazy penalties. You got to add a factor into the game. But I shouldn't see a lot of fundamental breakdowns as you saw last week against Dallas.
Going back to Jamel Dean, and Ricky Reynolds even said this, former Tampa Bay Buccaneer corner, New England corner, and of course Fox 13 analyst here on the sports web. He said basically Jamel, they use his aggressiveness against him because he's making those big plays versus an Aaron Rodgers last year. He's looking with SMB going out. How much of a difficulty is that back end going to have to compensate for him? And do you think Dean can turn it around in this game versus possibly covering a Kyle Pitts, a Calvin Ridley, or even a Russell Gage at some points during the game?
I know the Falcons wide receivers all too well. They're going to try to really force feed the ball to Kyle Pitts a lot this game.
Right.
Look for that early and often. They're going to try to get the ball to the back in space, try to alleviate time that Matt Ryan has to stay in the pocket. I don't know if they'll try to go up-tempo early. I think they'll go up-tempo if they get big gains to try to catch Tampa without being able to huddle. And expect a lot of what you've seen the last 2 weeks. That's something I didn't bring up in the winning angle. There was a trend that I always say that it's a copycat league, and the reason why I said that was Chris Wilcox got beat on a bunch formation in the preseason game when the Bengals played. Dallas ran that same kind of bunch formation, did kind of like a stop, like they're going to hitch and then go catch the corner sleeping. Expect Atlanta to do that same thing. Expect them to come out in those bunch formations and throw the ball in the flats out in the wide receiver. Now, what you were saying about Ricky Reynolds, about Dean to bounce back this game, and they're using their aggressiveness against him. I mean, that's kind of why you brought him here, to be physical. But it's hard for guys like Carlton, Jamel Dean, and these physical guys, even Jordan Whitehead, who didn't play, guys who were real physical, when you're not getting pressure. Now the physicality comes out because once you lunge and hit these guys, they've got the speed to outrun you in space. So that's what's kind of what was happening in that game. If you're not, I mean, let's just put it out there. If you're not getting pressure on the quarterback, period, as the great Leo Haggerty say, if he can throw it anywhere, when he wants, how he wants. That's what's going to happen.
Exactly.
And that's what happened. So if you get pressure on him this week, you should see a big difference.
Absolutely. I tell you what, let's go out to Ricky Reynolds and how he would cover Calvin Ridley and, of course, Kyle Pitts, and even how he would talk some trash. Kind of a funny moment between yours truly along with the great Ricky Reynolds here on the NSPN Watch Party live at Ducky, 1719 West Kennedy Boulevard. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Mr. Blake Anthony. Let's go to it. Here we go. How do you see this game playing out, and what do you do to defend a Calvin Ridley? Is it bracket and then let everybody else beat you in a Russell Gage and, of course, the young, talented rookie out of Florida, Kyle Pitts?
Well, first of all, you have to look at what they're doing with him and, the type of routes that he likes to run. And he's probably doing a lot of the stuff Julio Jones used to do, where he's running, those big crossing routes across the field. And when that happens, there's multiple areas you can, get him the ball when he's running across the field. Get him, in the middle of the field or all the way to the other side, and different things like that. So he's one that definitely needs to be controlled, because he's going to be their main receiver. And like I said, you probably would want to maybe bracket him or have a couple of guys always paying attention to where Ridley is on the field, because he's going to be, one of their main guys is going to catch the ball. The young rookie, I would play him aggressively. I would try to, be physical with him and try to get in his head a little bit. He's young. He's just now, having a chance to experience playing in the National Football League. And so I'm going to go after him. I'm going to be physical, get in his face, and try to, be aggressive with him all day and try to get in his head.
I mean, here's a player that's a tight end, but basically he's built like a wide receiver. He's fast. I mean, like you said, be aggressive with him, get into his grill, and basically get in his head at that point.
Oh, yes. You can, yeah, he's a young guy, he's a young guy, man. I would be, I'd be on it. I'd be physical with them and, hitting them every chance I get, and to let them know, hey, young fella, you in the National Football League now. Come on. You better strap it up and be ready.
What kind of trash would you talk to him? Come on, give me something. Give me a little bit. Come on, give me something.
Well, it depends on what's going on. It depends on what's happening. I mean, if you knock him down or anything, you might want to lend a hand like you're going to pick him up and then take it back and say, I ain't picking you up, rookie. You got to get up on your own. And as a matter of fact, you're going to be down on the ground again in a minute.
All right, there you go. Welcome back to the NSPN Watch Party live here at Ducky Sports Lounge. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Blake Anthony at Sports Talk 49. Great comments there. I love the whole trash talk thing, but does that make sense to bracket a Calvin Ridley and let a guy like a Russell Gage and, of course, the rookie Kyle Pitts, 4 catches, 31 yards, but, highly touted rookie out of Florida, a tight end and a wide receiver's body. Even BA talked about that.
I mean, Kyle Pitts, yeah, he's a big guy. He's a big physical guy. He's going to make a lot of plays downfield. Let's just see how it transcends into the NFL now. Week 1, he didn't really have a hot game. Atlanta got pretty much dismantled and handled against the Philadelphia Eagles. Eagles found a way to shut him down. I don't think you should necessarily have to bracket Calvin Ridley. Yeah, he's their number 1 receiver. like Ricky says. I mean, Ricky said it best. That's what you look at when you talk about what routes they like to do with them. They like to run Calvin sitting in the hash and out in the inside of the hash marks, coming behind those linebackers in between the safety. He likes to run those type of areas. He's not really a go route kind of guy. He likes those long over routes, as Ricky said, to drag. So Ricky knows what he's talking about. He's a DB, of course. But that's the thing, kind of plays they like to get to Calvin Ridley. But I don't think they should have to bracket him, because if you do that, then you leave it open for other guys to make plays. As you mentioned earlier, Sean Murphy-Bunting's out of this game and out for a little while. So you're not sure what kind of play you're going to get from your slot. So are we going to have to render aid in that position if that's so? If you run the bracket in there, you're leaving other spots vulnerable. I really don't think they should have to bracket Calvin Ridley. I think you just need to get the Matt Ryan, get under those routes and force Matt Ryan to drop dime passes into the zones and see where you go from there.
All right, let's go out to Curtis here, one of my favorite web heads here live on the NSPN watch party from Ducky's. Curtis, welcome, buddy. What do you think? Bucs versus Falcons. Go.
59-0.
Wow. Put 56 on it, right? In 2014 when they on Thursday Night Football. That would be nice. But what's your biggest key to this game, Mr. Curtis?
I just want to run the ball.
Okay.
I want to run the ball. I mean, I know what our passing attack is going to do.
Correct.
I know we're going to stop the run. I want to run the ball, and I want to shut down Calvin Ridley and picks. That's what I want to see.
Yeah, and I think you're going to have an opportunity today, because we talk about that defensive line, that defense overall against that offensive line of the Falcons. The Falcons line is not very good. So if Matt Ryan is not on his spot, like B.A. talked about, he's getting pressure in his face. Look for another subpar performance like he had versus the Eagles, 164 yards. That's the key.
What time does the game start?
4:05.
Okay, I'm going to be late by 5 minutes. I'm still at work, man. I get off work at 4 o'clock.
Well, there you go. You got plenty of game to watch. And then when you get done here, we got a big-time announcement coming on the post-game edition of this NSPN watch party. And it will not be here, but it will involve two former Buccaneers, possibly. Just saying.
All right. Well, hey, let's go Bucs. And I'm sorry. I know this is kind of weird. Did you see the Raiders are over Pittsburgh right now?
Raiders are surprising. Pittsburgh last score was 23-14. Of course, the Bengals have gotten back in the game. Justin Fields running the ball. So now they're up 20-17, but he just got a first down. So big-time first down by Justin Fields using that mobility. Lots of surprises today. The Rams tied with the Colts. Colts showing some heart there. Cleveland, last check, was having a tough time with the Houston Texans. Are you serious?
Tyron Taylor.
Unbelievable.
Finally getting somebody believing in him.
Not for long. That's what the NFL is all about. Yes.
Hey, I love you guys, and I'm definitely going to be on the post-game show tonight, man.
All right, man. Love you, brother. Let me go ahead and fire those cannons right there. There we go. Good stuff, Curtis. Appreciate it. I tell you what, let's go out to Stephen Che of Barstool Sports. He has a great breakdown of Carlton Davis. We'll quickly come back, give our keys to the game and our predictions here live on the NSPN watch party. Here we go.
And when he wasn't doing that, he was running routes for receivers. Here he just beats Amari Cooper to the spot, and he's got just as much of a right to be there as him, so no flag. Davis has very good strength and toughness. Here in the slot, watch him fight this push-off. He shows that strength off at the stem of the route and wins this rep. I mean, call him Mark Curry because he is hanging with Mr. Cooper. And Carlton is squatting on lots of routes. Here the Cowboys are backed up and the ball's coming out quick. Davis does a nice job understanding what the Cowboys are trying to do and just says, no, thank you. Davis was reading the quarterback like a New York Times bestseller on Thursday. I mean, watch him at the top of the screen. He's going to look in on Dak, see him rear up. Davis then clicks and closes to the ball and gets the break up. Even with Dak's impressive game, he only had a 13.9 rating when targeting Carlton Davis. And here he's lined up towards the bottom of the screen. He's guarding Michael Gallup. He sees Dak's arm go up, and look at his left leg here. It's already in the ground, and he's firing on the ball. Great job getting the PBU. That almost results in a pick. Rewinding it back, Davis just closes the window like it's raining outside. And while pass breakups are nice, interceptions are better. Here Davis is playing a deep third. And again, he's got eyes in on the quarterback. The ball comes out, gets tipped, and Davis is Johnny on the spot, coming up with another pick. Carlton Davis is an elite cornerback and deserves to be talked about as such.
All right, so there you go. That's Stephen Che of Barstool Sports breaking down Carlton Davis. Of course, the big story earlier on, he is active. Are you surprised he's active? How concerned are you, Blake Anthony, with that hamstring injury being a lingering problem?
I played a whole half with a sprained ankle, so I know Carlton's going to try to play. with a tweaked hamstring. He's going to play. At that point, it's pretty much what the level of pain is. Can he push his foot in the ground and drive on the ball? If he believes he can do that, then he's going to come out there and play. If it gets worse, and I'm sure he's going to take himself out the game, but if Carlton feels he's good to go, he's had a good 48 hours to kind of rest that up and feel how it feels, he's going to come out there and play. He's going to play at a high level.
Is that a matchup you like in this game, Davis versus a Ridley? You go one-on-one coverage because Ridley's not going to burn you, although he's going to get the He'll get the separation, but it's not like a Tyreek Hill situation.
Not that
right?
kind of speed.
Okay.
Yeah, that's next level speed. Absolutely.
Right.
But really can beat you. And Carlton's not known. He's not fleet of foot. He's not going to catch you in a foot race. That's why he's done a really great job in knowing what he's good at, as Stephen Shea brilliantly broke down. He knows what he's good at. So if he knows he can keep people under him, he can break on balls. He can get to those. You're not going to see him take chances of trying to jump routes and guys making double moves on him, getting past him, because they'll beat him in a foot race. I mean, let's just put it out there. He's not going to run you down and come and get you, but he will be physical, jump on, and take the call, Peter.
Yeah, let's go ahead and take the call here. I hope she's calling the show. This will be my future agent here, my beautiful mom. Welcome to the NSPN Watch Party live at Ducky's. Bucs versus the Falcons. Your thoughts? And she's silent. She's crickets
she
right
said
now.
They're scoring nothing.
She's I think she forgot that I was on air.
Or a butt dial.
Hey, family, I'm on air right now, okay? So you can't call.
Butt dial for you.
Right, there you go. Exactly. Of course, the Falcons, depending on Matt Ryan and Ridley and Pitts, of course, Mike Davis coming over from Carolina. They got Cordell Patterson. Can they legitimately run the ball versus this Bucs defense? Or is it going to be a game, once again, where you make Matt Ryan one-dimensional and that basically plays to your advantage, especially to those outside pass rushers?
Let's call this out. I'm surprised nobody's mentioned. Who's calling the plays for the Falcons? Dirk Cutter, guy who doesn't run the ball. So you're going to ask that if they're going to run the ball. He's not going to run the ball.
Dirk Cutter's calling the plays still?
Yeah, Dirk Cutter is still in Atlanta. He is not going to run the ball. So
wow. Well, there you go. And for me, it's just amazing for a new coach coming in. You have a preseason, you have a training camp, you have a mini camp, to admit that you don't have your team ready to play. Do you think he'll have his team ready to play today? It's only the Super Bowl champions.
When people say stuff like that, it just makes me question, like,
right,
why the Chiefs, Eric Bieniemy doesn't have a head coaching job.
Yeah,
it just makes me go back to that. I know that's a whole nother conversation, but when I hear stuff like that, it just makes me like, you didn't get a head coaching job over this guy who couldn't get his team ready to play a NFL game that you blood, sweat, and tears all off season to get to this moment, and in this moment, week one, you're not ready to play. What the hell have you been doing?
Right, exactly. I'll tell you what, let's go out to the comments here, and then we'll get out of here. Colts up on the Rams. Roger Shue says third pick of the game.
Yep.
Roger again, Bears win. Misador, Red Rifle is more of a Red Rider, as in bench rider. I'm going to fire the cannons for that.
That was a good one. That was well thought of.
Yes. I'm also going to give him a from There we go. Let's go ahead. Roger Shue 20-3. Now it is 20-17. Last check here, 108. Bears have the ball, looking to salt the clock away again. Misador, Danny Gillis, Falcons. Bucs 41-13 over the Falcons. Let's see. Yes, Christopher Cole 42-17. Christopher Cole again. Rams are in a battle. They're tied at 24. Monica says, "Will you all be showing the Bucs versus Falcons game on here live?" No, we cannot, sweetie. I wish we could.
Copyright infringement.
But Facebook will come and get us and shut us down. We don't want that to happen. But thanks a lot for tuning in. Atlas says Saints getting whooped today. Now it's up to us to do the same against Atlanta. Well, they're getting whooped compared to the onslaught of last week of Jameis Winston and the greatest quarterback of all time, 5 touchdowns, under 200 yards. I think now some of those Winston fans and Bucs fans in general will shut up. I thought Dirk retired. I thought he did too. Dave Ragone, I thought that was Dave Ragone is
I'm thinking
he's
still out there.
Well, you know what? You're not going to run the ball versus this Bucs defense. So at the end of the day, I feel like this absolutely is an advantage. And Antonio Brown had a big day last week, a big game versus the Dallas Cowboys. Chris Godwin, look for Mike Evans to have a huge game. Your thoughts on that real quick, and then we'll give our predictions.
Well, you know, Mike Evans isn't really big in the catching a lot of passes in games. He's Tom Brady's red zone threat. He's the second Rob Gronkowski in the end zone for Tom Brady. That's who he likes to go to Mike in the red zone. But it'll be a lot of Godwin and Antonio Brown this week. I really expect if Mike comes out and gets some busted coverages to make some plays, anytime I'm happy to see Mike make plays. Guy is great for this team, has made a lot of sacrifices. But as you heard me in the winning angle, I really expect Brown to get off this week.
Yeah, I mean, Devontae Smith did well last week. Those wide receivers for Philadelphia
Speed
did well.
is the problem in Atlanta on defensive speed, and Brown's got a lot of it.
You got A.J. Terrell in that secondary.
Oh,
that doesn't
God.
spell anything for me that would say any semblance at that point of Atlanta doing anything to shut this offense down, if you will. Give me a score here, and we'll get you out of here.
Oh, I still stand by what I said. I said about what I say, 33-17.
33-17. I like 38-17.
That means 5 touchdowns and a field goal. Okay.
Tampa Bay over the Atlanta Falcons to go to 2-0, extend that 10-game winning streak from last year. And Tom Brady, 9-0. Look for Mike Evans to have a big game. And the victim of volume.
Yeah, we didn't even talk about that.
And Ronald Jones losing his confidence. He gets his confidence back. What's the best way to get your confidence back? Play against the Falcons
Holding
defense.
the ball. Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to talk about that real quick? The running back situation? We didn't even touch that.
We touched it with Jason Powers, but yeah, really quick here because we're running out of time.
What do you got starting?
It's going to be Ronald Jones.
Okay.
That's what BA says, but who knows? Whoever's the hot hand at that point. And if it's Leonard Fournette, if it's Lombardi Lenny, if it's Giovanni Bernard, you got to have balance to that offense. It makes it even more devastating with Tom Brady in that pass play action.
I actually got Giovanni Bernard this week.
Okay, there you go. Giovanni Bernard right there. Looks like the Rams held on to beat the Colts 27-24. Of course, that next week is another primetime game. We'll be here live on NSPN and I Love St. Pete for the great Jason Powers and Blake Anthony at Sports Talk 49. I'm your host, Peter Blake, live at Ducky's on NSPN, where sports media evolves, and I Love St. Pete. Guys, enjoy the game.
Hey, Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to stpetekeytag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. stpetekeytag.com.
Brady looking that way, fires that way, and it's going to be caught, and it's Godwin making the catch. Suckup trying to win it.
The Atlanta Falcons are on the road for week 2, off to Tampa Bay to take on Tom Brady and the Bucs.
He's like from a different solar system right now, Chris. 44, I don't know what it is. He's enchanted quinoa, whatever he's doing, but it's perfect.
Go ahead and add oldest starting QB to win a game to his resume. And if you saw Brady in week 1, you know those 2 picks on his stat line didn't really say much about his arm, whereas the dime he threw to Antonio Brown did.
So much smarter than what he was then.
At the age of 44, Brady steps up, avoids the rush, throws, caught, touchdown, Antonio Brown.
Step forward, those who inside. For an army will be raised. Blood will be shed. Spoils will be enjoyed. So you came back to die with your city. The fire rises. We will destroy Gotham.
A lot of room to run, but Tom doesn't do that. For the end zone! Touchdown for the Bucs! Brady with a lot of time. Steps into it. Guns it complete. Evans searching for the end zone.